Anyway, sorry, folks. Anyways, welcome. It is the 21st of September, 2020. This is The Way It Is Naturally. I'm your host, Perry Larrabee. Tonight we are going to cover the chest and we are going to get into this. Oh, what's going on here? I've got a bit of an issue here. Oh well. I'll just get them out of here. Sorry. Small delay. Okay, there we go. What's going on here? I had to take out somebody here. Okay, there we go. Anyway, sorry about that, folks. Anyways, yes, we're going to cover the chest today, and we'll do a brief discussion of the anatomy. Then we're going to get right into exercise description and my take. Anyways, folks, you got to just bear with me here for a moment. Geez, we got off to a shaky start here. I got disconnected here from my audio here, so just hang in there for 2 seconds, and I'm just going to get that hooked right back up. Should be just a couple of seconds here, hopefully. Geez, last minute glitches here. My apologies. Should never have happened, but anyways, let's try this again. Connect. Anyways, I think you guys are going to be okay anyways, but yeah. I know what I'm going to do. Yeah, sorry about that. I am going to do this. We're going to just disconnect here for a second, and then we're going to bring it right back up. Just bear with me here, folks. It's just a... Should do it. Should do it. Okay. Hopefully we're hooking up here. There we go. Okay. Oh boy, sorry about that. Anyways, let's get on to things here. We're going to discuss the chest here tonight. Hopefully things will go a little bit smoother. What do we want to update you on here before we get into things? Still working on this project here. Hopefully we'll be getting off the ground, be able to open this facility by the year's end. Training's going good. Seeing where I'm going to be sitting at body weight come the end of the month. Right now I'm sitting at about 208 pounds. I imagine by the time I get, I'm just trying to tune up here right now. I think I'll be happy when I get hitting around 200 pounds. Not that I focus on a weight, because I don't tell anybody else to. I just kind of imagine that's where I want to be before I start the 7th-month preparation for the show, which will be May 29th in Edmonton. That's under the WNBF banner. I think even it is a natural association, and because I have a natural platform, that's what I like to push. I haven't decided whether I'll compete in other areas or under other federations. What else? I don't think a whole lot else. A lot of weird stuff going on in the world these days. I think everybody's fully aware of that. Far too many controversies, too many people not really worrying too much about their fellow man. Everybody's taking sides instead of joining together, and I guess that's what happens when the world was basically hit with a, we're hit with a worldwide dilemma, right? That's what we're in. And instead of coming together, so many factions are pulling apart. And to my American brothers and sisters, I feel very sorry for them. I won't get into the politics. I do have a stand there. I do voice my opinion, or at least I endorse certain people's opinions when they voice them on Facebook. But I'm not at the point where I sling mud at anybody or whatever. I just believe what is right, and that's all there is to it. And I use that policy when I talk about anything. Anyways, we're going to talk about the chest or the pectoralis, for example. The pectoralis is not a large muscle, but it's not the smallest. It's basically, has an upper portion, a lower portion. You can define it with an inner and outer as well, but there, on a very well developed chest, you can actually see a split between the upper pec and lower pec. Okay, it's very rare, and probably the most. If anybody ever has a chance to go back to look at old photos of Franco Columbu, although he didn't have the prettiest physique, he had two things. He had an incredible back for his time. He looked like Batman, a very short man, but very wide lats and very full lats. Okay, and he was also known when he's in contest condition for having a very defined split pectoralis muscle. You could see the line between upper and lower pec. And it was pretty incredible. It was much to the same effect as Boyer Coe having the double split actually in the head of his bicep. Pretty incredible looking things. Rare you see that type of detail. Anyway, so I'm going to tackle one subject right off the bat when it comes to chest. I've had a lot of debate this week with individuals and in regards to bench press. Bench press has got a lot of notoriety, but for all the wrong reasons, okay? It is for any young lad, for example, especially boys, going into the gym, it's where they kind of gravitate to. If it's not their arms doing barbell curls, it's the bench press. The lying flat bench press is what I'm talking about here. Okay? They all want to get on there and they all want to, that's their big, it's an ego booster, okay? But here I'm going to give you a couple little tidbits when it comes to the regular standard flat bench press. Whether you're an enhanced athlete or whether you're a natural athlete, as far as a chest developer, it is a totally useless exercise, okay? The reason being because in that flat pronate position, it has a very limited range of motion. And for the very small percentage of people that would actually benefit from a flat bench press, you have to have all the right proportions body-wise, okay? Many people, let's face it, to be a really good bench presser, if you have a very thick chest or a very thick rib cage, for example, very short arms, bench press is going to be a breeze for you. It's not an indication of your tremendous style or form. It's not an indication of that. It's basically an indication of your structure, okay? So what's my viewpoint from a bodybuilding point of view? From a bodybuilding point of view, it's a terrible exercise. I threw it out after my second year, and I always had one of the best chests in the show. And I don't teach it to my students either. Now, if you're a power lifter, or if you just like doing the movement and you want to develop strength, you will develop strength. But that strength doesn't necessarily carry over into some of the other movements. So what I'm trying to get at is there's other variations of a bench press which are beneficial. They have a much longer range of motion, okay? You can handle, in many cases, similar poundages, okay? But you just get far more benefit from it, whether you be natural or not, when it comes to development. And that's what I push, okay? So we're going to start off with, and we're going to, once again, I have to apologize because I wanted to be actually doing these exercise demos, but I'm going to be doing them out of my out of the actual app that I use with my clients. Okay, and we are going to take a look here right now at an exercise that I like to start off with. I'll get more into detail about what I choose for best exercises after, but we're going to look at this. Okay, let me just bring it up on screen. Here we go. Bring this up. Okay, so we are going to look at. I have 4 or 5 exercises picked out here. Okay, so we're going to pick this one out. Flat. And I'm going to put this, just hold on just a second here. I'm going to take off my sound here. Okay, This is called dumbbell flat bench flies, or they're just flies. Everybody knows them by flies, okay? I'm gonna let him go through, get it set up, and after he goes through the motion, or while he's going through the motion, if there's things that I want to point out to you, I'm gonna stop it and we're gonna talk about it in detail, okay? So for now, we're just let him go. So he's getting himself prepared, you know, so far so good. You know, that everything is good so far, okay? Okay, his motion is good, his cadence is good, okay? I'm just gonna stop here for a moment. Now, when I have my clients doing this, there's two ways, you know, this particular movement. Some people get a better effect if they actually have their legs up on the bench. It does make a difference. You don't have to, okay? The other thing too is you actually want to force your chest high. You want to keep it out high the whole time. And the amount his arms are bent is good, it's reasonable, it's within range. You could even afford to bend them slightly more, but I wouldn't. And what you don't want to do is when you're doing the ascending portion of the movement, is you don't want to start bending them more and more. Because what you're basically doing is turning it into a half bench press or dumbbell press and a half fly movement. So whatever position you take, you try and keep it constant throughout. And that way you'll get a complete contraction at the top, which is the other thing I want to get to. You want to make sure that you have a complete contraction at the top and hold it, squeeze, and then down. Okay, we're going to bring that back once more. Okay, I'm going to get him into it, and let's see if he's going to go through this motion once more. Okay, so remember, slight arch in the back, chest out, arms in a constant position. Make sure you're nice and stable, always under control. One thing I really want to point out with flies, many people have hurt themselves doing flat bench flies. You can see the potential here, right? I mean, if you're dropping your dumbbells down and you do not control, you can literally rip your the outer insertion for your pectoralis muscle. You don't want to be doing that, okay? Let's get him to finish off here again. So a good cadence, okay? He's got that good rhythm, okay? A little higher with the chest, but everything else looks fine, okay? It's a great movement. Even though it's not completely an isolation movement when it comes to, so I'm going to take this off the screen here for a second. Get rid of that. I'm going to come back on screen here for a sec to you people. Okay, so even though it's not a strict isolation movement because you're doing it with dumbbells, the similar movement can be done with a pec machine, okay? There's various versions of a pec machine, but the best ones are designed almost like a fly. Some of them have it such that your arms are actually, you know, in a bent position, but the best ones are going to be out like such, okay? And they're going to have flexibility in the handles. Therefore, you can definitely, you know, get yourself a good contraction in the pecs. Which way is better? Well, personally, you know, I like to steer people towards dumbbells, but I do see the benefit, and depending on who my client is, I might have them do, you know, the machine, or maybe depending on just for a little variety, or if they're looking more specifically to focus in on the contraction point of things, because that is where the challenge is on a free weight flat bench fly. Many people get to the top of the movement and they just drop it down. You know, they don't even think about the contraction, a good squeeze. That's very important to make that movement worthwhile, okay? But an excellent movement, hard to find a better one, to be quite honest with you. Okay, we're going to bring up the split screen here again, okay? And I am going to go back into my workout here again, and we're going to go to, let's go. Just fly, we're going to machine. Okay, here's a machine. We're just going to demonstrate. I didn't actually see him go through this, but we're going to watch, see how he does on the machine fly. Okay. Machine, the problem with machines, or the good thing about machine, is they will dictate, exactly, where you take your movement. The problem is if you don't set them up properly, okay, they will not function correctly. You will not get the right linear, that movement in the right linear direction, okay? So when you're sitting on a machine, for example, if you see the way his arms are, that is the absolute minimum for height that he should be at. What I'm saying is He could afford to even be down a little more, but you don't want to be any higher. I've seen many people sitting up way too high, and their actual arms are pointing down from their shoulder joints. That's not the correct way to do this motion. You want the pivot point, which is your shoulder joints, to be right in line with your hands at the handles, okay? So he's slightly, he's slightly too high. He could afford to be a little bit lower, okay? And I'd rather have you be a little bit lower than a little bit higher in this movement, okay? I want to see if he does a good squeeze at the top of this movement or not, okay? So that's what you want to do. You take the movement back. His arms are fairly constant, okay? Just gonna stop that. So once again, it's just like a fly, but it's very controlled. And of course, it's much safer because you don't have to worry about the dumbbells just being out of control. I mean, anytime you do a free weight movement, you're taking a lot more accessory muscle groups and therefore controlling your movement. So it takes more coordination and more skill. Okay, machines do not take as much skill, but they do have their place. If you are outfitted in a gym, that was wonderfully outfitted, and you have both free weights and machines, I urge you to use a little bit of both. Okay, or on occasion, even if you're strictly a dumbbell barbell person, every once in a while, get on the machines and just give yourself, your muscle, a little bit of a different feel, a different workout. It's not necessarily, one workout's going to change all your development all at once, but, giving your muscle something to think about is almost in line with giving it something new to adjust to, okay? It's not quite a linear relationship, but it does make a difference, okay? So, I'm going to get out of that exercise. Second here, we're going to get out of the exercise, okay? And we are going to go to, let's see, we got barbell incline press, okay. Once again, I have to watch and see what he does before I can determine, I'm going to let him set up here. So this is your typical, he's working in his incline bench out of a power rack, which is good, which is very good. Okay, and his angle is correct. Notice he could even be a little bit lower. I would like to see about a 30 to 35 degree angle, not 45. 45 is too high, okay? So let's just put a stop in here for a second. The grip he has, many people might look at that and think, well, that's a pretty narrow grip. But you have to understand, the wider you go with your grip, the less range of motion you're going to use, okay? So I recommend a wider than shoulder, but not a super wide grip. You don't want to be reaching for the outsides of that bar, okay? And I also prefer that you do a open grip, meaning a thumbless grip. He actually has his thumbs wrapped around the bar, okay? You will find it makes a difference if you take your thumbs, open them up, put them around the bar from the outside, that it actually forces more concentration into your movement, okay? And when you're doing this, you should have a small arch in your back, very stable on your feet, and you want to be keeping your chest very high. I'm going to watch his elbows here because I didn't quite follow to see exactly where his elbows were on this movement. Okay. One thing you'll notice in this movement, I'm going to back it up just a hair. Back that up. Hold on, see if it doesn't allow me to back it up. I'm just going to bring it back to here. Let him go through it. Okay, see his elbows? His elbows are way too far to the front. Your elbow should be flaring back, okay? Not, at your shoulders, but in order to really force the movement down onto your pecs, you need to be more perpendicular with your elbows or your whole upper arm to your torso, okay? Very important. So, chest high, arch in the back, thumbless grip, and flare your elbows. When I say flare your elbows, it's kind of like when we get into doing dips, if people want to do a variation of dips for their chest. If you bring your elbows in narrow, you're going to be doing tricep work, which is what he's doing here. He's doing a fair amount of tricep work. Yes, he's doing chest, and yes, he's doing front delt, but he could be doing less tricep work in this movement if his elbows were back, okay? Anyways, let's just let him finish the movement. Okay, good control. You want to touch your clavicle. He's coming down to the right place. And that's the end of that movement. Okay, so it's going to come back on screen here for a moment here again. Okay. So important things to remember, okay? You can do lots of variations. Like you can take that incline barbell press and now you could get into a Smith machine. For those of you who know what a Smith machine is, that's even safer than the power rack. Power rack can be set up with your safety stand. So, you know, if you happen to get stuck, that's as low as that bar is going to go. On a Smith machine, you actually have incremental safety stops. So, you know, that's another great way to do it. But they will not give you the same effect as a straight barbell incline press. It's just what you get out of barbells and dumbbells is that extra bit of accessory muscle participation, and therefore you have to work a lot more on your coordination. It's a much better all-around building. Anytime you go to a machine of any sort, you're going to isolate more. And there's nothing wrong with isolation, but you don't want to be doing all your work in isolation. If you take two bodies, take them, and let's say you could clone somebody, and they, you know, did everything the same, but one did the same movements, one was on machines and the other was on free weights. You would actually see the difference in their physiques. I knew a gentleman, I don't know if anybody would even know his name, John Cardillo, years and years ago. I do believe that he almost did, if he not, he did all his whole workout on Nautilus machines, all machines. And even though he had a good physique, he was a big heavyweight, his physique to me never looked complete. It always looked like, you know, the muscles were just kind of pieces. And that's the difference between someone who trains on machines and someone who trains with free weights. You get a lot more of intermuscle play, okay? Muscles helping each other out. And on top of that, let's face it, many gyms just are not equipped, you know, with a full line of machinery. So when you train yourself to be efficient and train on barbells and dumbbells, you can train anywhere, okay? Whereas if you've been on machines the whole time and all of a sudden, like now, for example, you can't even get into a gym and you might be able to get a hold of some dumbbells or barbells. It's like starting all over again. You're going to be working on your coordination. It's going to be frustrating. So take advantage, learn the basics, and the basics can build you a tremendous physique. When I first started in this game, other than a few Nautilus machines, there was very little in the way of machinery out there. You know, there was, you know, some pulleys hanging out there and a lat pull down machine and a cable row. Nothing like what you see now in some of these gym layouts. Nothing. And therefore, you had to learn all the good ground basic movements, and they produce tremendous physiques. Let's face it, when it comes to the bodybuilding world, the only real difference these days, it's not because they've invented, you know, better machinery or better exercise. It's just the drugs making the difference at this point, okay? If you took, you know, the same type of drugs and the amount that they're using these days and applied it, you know, to 50 years ago when the amount of machinery is very limited, you would still have those gargantuan, mind-blowing physiques. It would still be there. It has nothing to do. The equipment is merely a tool, okay? And I can tell you, you know, for the people who are very serious about training, the more rudimentary it is, the better it is psychologically. You know, if things are too pretty, sometimes you don't necessarily try your hardest, okay? You know, talk about when Dorian Yates talks about training down in his dungeon. That's what it looked like. I trained in gyms that are even more of a dungeon than that. And let me tell you, you get some great workouts in there. Okay, so for the last exercise to be demoed here, I think we're going to go in and we're going to take a look at doing a dumbbell version of the bench press, okay? Dumbbell, let's see, we got the dumbbell, flat bench floor, dumbbell. No, we don't even have it. So let's go into some cable work, okay? This is a movement, okay? He doesn't quite do it the way I would do it, okay? I'm going to let him proceed. Now I'm going to explain the differences between what I would do and what he's doing. Okay. His stance is fine. His body position is a little bit too tilted forward. Okay. His arms are fine. Okay. So let's just stop that for a second. What he's doing here is because he's so far forward, okay, and also because of the way his wrists are twisted, If you took your arms and you twisted your wrists so they're now in a line, so rotated, each one of those arms would be rotated 45 degrees, or 90 degrees, sorry, inward. They'd be end to end to each other. That makes a whole difference in this movement, okay? Right now, he's doing like another version of a flat bench fly, but he's doing it with cables. And that's fine if that's what you're trying to do. But this movement in particular, it was actually developed, and you'll see Arnold doing it in pumping iron. I've been doing it for years. I really like to get into this movement when coming into a show. This is my isolation movement, okay? And you can really, go all out on this. You can even get strong. You can get strong on it, but it's not really designed to be a strength movement. It's designed to really work the center pec and the outer pec at the top, the center pec at the bottom, and forcing the contraction. If you're not doing the big squeeze in this movement, you're not really getting the best out of the movement of what it was designed for. Okay, so let's just let him finish this part here. Okay, so you always have to have good control. He was way too quick going up. This movement is meant to be done very slow. See, he's doing it just like a fly. You need to actually have your elbows tilted up. His body should be a little bit more erect, and elbows over his wrists. That is the best way, and the best way to do this movement. Otherwise, he's just doing a variation of a fly, okay, and not cable fly. Not we call them cable crossovers. That was the original name of it. He's called cable crossovers. Okay. Okay, we'll let him finish up there. Okay, so I'm going to come back on screen here. Okay, and we're going to go into main screen. Alrighty. So the chest, when to train it. Some people do chest as part of their push routine, right? Chest, shoulders, triceps. I have tried that in the past. Personally, I have spent the better part of, I've been training 43 years. I bet I've trained the better part of 35 years doing chest and back together. Or at times, depending on how I was training, chest by itself. But generally speaking, chest and back together. I've always thought that working antagonistic muscle groups together was a good thing, okay? Some people might think, the back is such a big muscle, by the time you get to your chest, there's nothing left. But if you're training hip style, which is what I do, you're not in there a whole long time. The whole workout, chest and back for me, taking less than 40 minutes. Basically about 35 minutes, I'm done. So I'm not too worried about burning out during the workout. Get in there, get intense, and get it done, okay? It can be done as a part of a push-pull system. And I don't believe it should be worked any more than once a week, possibly once every 6 days, but up to as much as once every 8 or 9 days. If you're on the HIIT system, you gotta find that out about your body. If you're really taken to the limit, there's a lot of people who will tell you they can't even hit that muscle group, not because it's sore, it just hasn't recovered fully, okay? For 8 days rather than 7, Some people it's 6, some people it's 9. And even the same person, it could vary depending on all the other factors of when you trained it. How is your sleeping going? How is your recovery? How is your diet? There's so many factors, right? This is the beauty of bodybuilding at its best. And when you're a natural trainer, okay, you learn about your body. You learn about how it's recuperating. You get the feedback from it. You understand, and you get to make decisions about how to change. You don't hit the same type of plateaus when you get the individuals who don't learn anything, okay? So you want to be thinking about what you're doing. Now, what do I think is the best choice of exercises to work the chest thoroughly? The best all-around combination for me, okay? If I'm in the off season, I'm mainly focusing on, gaining some strength, gaining some thickness, gaining some size, okay? And for that, I don't do a whole lot different, okay? I'll always do pre-exhaust, okay? So I will start with flat bench flies, okay? And like I said, I only do one working set. I do a warm-up set, flat flies, and then I'm right into it. Take it right to failure and past, okay? Then I don't do a whole lot of rest, and I go into incline press. For the last year, only because I was coming back from my sickness, I've been doing it on a Smith machine, and the gym I'm at is not really equipped with a nice incline bench. They do have a power rack, but so far I've been just happy to stay on the Smith machine. I don't have a partner, and if I had a partner, I would definitely be wanting to work off the power rack in more of a natural incline barbell setup. Although you could go to dumbbells in the incline version, which is also a very effective movement. Matter of fact, even more effective than a barbell. Okay, and then finish off with some version of a pec fly, and that would be for me. That's cables. Okay, I could do that routine all year round. Sometimes I'll throw the cables out, and I will do incline dumbbells and incline barbells. I might change the angle because I do believe, you don't want to be above 45, and even that's a little high, but you'd like to be above 30, because once you get below 30, then you're starting to get into that flatter range, and which I've already determined and told you that is just not an effective way to train your chest. Okay? So I hope everybody got something out of that. I hope they got a little better idea of how to hit their chest and what to do. We never did discuss rep ranges. Like, yeah, maybe I should throw that in for you. You can make great strength and size gains working in that 6 to 8 rep range. I'm not a big believer in going into 3 and 4. You're talking power movements at this point, and I've never been a proponent of doing, even getting above 8 is starting to get high, but once you start getting above 10, to me, like, you're not focusing in on size at that point, and I've already proven that you don't need to go into higher repetitions to get into, cut condition for a show or anything else, or just to get ripped. You don't need high reps. You can train heavy and intense, alter your diet, throw in minor amounts of cardio, and get just as ripped, and matter of fact, more ripped, because you will lose some density. If you switch all your heavy movements into lighter movements to get cut, as many people want to do these days, whether they're getting ready for a show or not, you will actually lose some of your density. I guarantee you will. Okay? And for those people, whether you're using drugs or not, people on drugs don't realize that a lot of the muscle that they see, even though it may be bigger, it looks softer. It does not have that same hard look. And it's because a lot of those people do a lot of pumping movement. Okay? A lot of pumping movement. Okay? Many of them don't use heavy weights. Some do, a lot don't. And that's where the difference is between very grainy and hard muscle. So do like I'm telling you. Do not change your repetition range up just to get ready for a show. Keep it constant, okay? Force yourself to train hard and heavy right through, okay? And if you didn't have yourself going, piles of pounds overweight in the off season, you won't have to be going through any starvation diet to get ready for the show. If you only have to shed, 15 pounds or so, you're in good condition. You're in a good position to get it done right. Once again, my name is Perry Larrabee. This is The Way It Is Naturally. I hope you'll join me once again. Wednesday show, we'll be doing a Q&A where I'll be talking about subject matter that I found either through email or in the Facebook groups. And if you want a chance to ask your question, you can come on to the show on Wednesday night, 6 o'clock Mountain Time. Join my YouTube channel, Bull Fierce Training, and ask away. Ask questions in the comments. You can also visit me at bullfiercetraining.com. That's bull-fiercetraining.com. Take a look at what I offer as a personal trainer. I've been at this game for over 4 decades, 43 years to be exact. I am still training hard and doing a show, as a matter of fact, next year. I have 2 books coming out later on at the end of this year, or actually, I think I've delayed them now for when I actually to line up with my show, which is May 29th, 2021. And I will be doing a couple of seminars coming up near the end of this year as well. So you can feel free to contact me on my website. Feel free to contact me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Anyways, everybody, stay safe, take care. I'm Perry Larrabee. This is The Way It Is Naturally. I'm the CEO of Bull Fierce Training. God bless, and we'll see you again.